This video is going to guide you through the configuration options for ticketing for schools. Please note this is the second video of 3 in the series. The first one, which covers system settings, applies to the entire Software for Schools application and includes setup of users, system values, and how the system works for the super user. This video will guide you through the specific setup of ticketing and the options that are available for you. The final video in the series will be a walkthrough of the day-to-day use and how to set up the application, as well as a great place to start for your staff members that are learning to use the software. As you can see, we're currently on the home screen. This is an overview of your most recent event and the details for that event. You can also use this option to select other events if you want to see the details from specific events. From this screen, you can also create an event, which we'll cover in more detail in the next video. The Students tab allows you to view all of your students, and upload student pictures, as well as mass update students and their records. The Events tab is where you'll go to create and manage all of your events, and the Reports tab is where you'll find all of the detailed reports about your events. We're going to go ahead and start with this last tab, which is for configuring the application. When you go into the Configure menu, you can see the option to upload your school logo. This will soon be changing, and if you don't find it here, it will be under the System Settings link on the left-hand side. If you want to swap out the ticketing logo for your own school logo, you can just click this button and update your own logo. Mass Updates in the Configuration section allows you to deactivate all students and remove old pictures that are not being used. We have a procedure that you will follow at the end of each school year, and part of that is to deactivate all students and then re-upload a new list of students for next year. Ticket types allow you to create multiple options when selling tickets. There are 3 ticket types that are locked: student, guest, and activity card. You can change the name of activity card to whatever you want by clicking on the edit button, but this type of ticket cannot be removed. This is the only other ticket type besides regular student type that can actually be set to a student record, so prices are automatically determined based on this ticket type. The example here would be if you sell a discount card at the beginning of the school year and students buy this card to either get into events free or at a discounted rate, then you can flag them with the activity card, so when they go to the event, a special price will show up for these particular students. You can create as many ticket types as you wish. In this example, I have one called Pre-Order, which gives me the option to create a discounted rated ticket at the time of selling it for that student. My Account is where you go to pay open invoices, either with a credit card or P-card, as well as renew your account or request a quote when it's time for your renewal. Next, you're going to go into System Settings, found here in the bottom left side of the page. We did cover this more thoroughly in the previous video, but here we're going to focus on some of the points that are specific to ticketing. When setting up a user, under User Settings, and if you're using a printer, you can choose what type of printer you're using, and you can control the printer name from here. You also are able to download the printer driver as well that needs to be installed in order to make that work. Just turn the thermal printer option on. You will find more details on printer settings in our help documentation. Under the system values, there are 2 tabs to focus on here. The Global tab will allow you to configure things like school name, time zone, and if you plan to use the reward system, Spirit Points, you can turn that on here. The Ticketing tab, you will find specific options that relate just to the ticketing program. For example, Braintree is a credit card processing integration that you can turn on. The custom labels here will show up when you sell tickets. You can change the custom label to things like seat number or meal type if you need that. This option will also show up on the receipt if you're printing receipts. If your school has groups or houses that you want reporting on, you can turn this feature on to allow you to report and assign students to specific groups that you create. If you allow guests at your event, you have the option here to prompt the user when they're scanning or checking that guest in if they are bringing the guest in with them, or you can automatically check them in or not check them in based on this setting. Guest ID, and here at the bottom, Ticket ID, can be used to custom set a guest or ticket number if you need. For example, you can set the starting ticket number here for each event. Be aware that you can only go forward in numbers. You can never go backwards and reuse the same ticket number. Finally, if you're using the web portal for selling tickets online, you can set the email here that if users have specific questions, they can contact you through the portal. Registration for the portal has two options: open registration, which allows parents to use their own email address, or secure registration, where you upload the email address when uploading the student file. Be aware, if you're using the secure registration, typically schools do not allow external systems to email students directly. If you're using this option, we do have an email verification email that goes out, so be sure that you actually allow emails from softwareforschools.com to get through your district firewall. Going back to the ticketing module, we're now going to cover students. Here you can see I have all my students and their pictures loaded. You can quickly look up a student by ID number or name by typing it in here. You can edit a student by clicking the button here. And if you want to deactivate students, you can check the box and click the deactivate button. A little tip here: at the end of each school year, we recommend that you deactivate all students in the database. When you upload next year's students, we will take any inactive students, which you have deactivated already, and reactivate those same students, as well as add the new students to the database. To deactivate all students, simply change the number of records viewable on the page to all. Check all by clicking the top checkbox here in the header row, and then click the Deactivate All button. If you need to reactivate any students individually, you can always click the button here, View Inactive Students, and then reverse the process by checking the student and clicking on Activate. You can also permanently delete a student, but that student cannot have any transactions, which means they can never have been scanned in. Once they have been scanned in, we do not allow you to permanently delete a student. To create a new student, just click the Add Student button. Set the ID number, the name, email, which is optional, and grade level, as well as the ticket type. As I mentioned before, you can automatically set the price of the ticket based on this option. If you're using groups, the list or option of groups that you create will show up here. And then exclusions will also show up in this list if you need to exclude a student from an event for a specific reason. You can choose whether or not to exclude students from this specific event, whether or not they're tagged in here or not. Finally, you can also deactivate a student from here, as you can see in the bottom of the screen. To upload your students from your student information system, just get a CSV or Excel file, spreadsheet type file, with the following columns: student ID number, first name, last name, and grade level. Optional, you can also import email and group if you're using those. Just select the file from your computer and upload. This next step is where you will align the columns so that they go into the correct fields in our system. The first option says, do you have a header row? So is the first record that you're seeing a student record, or does it say things like first name, last name, and ID number? If so, just mark I have a header row and we will not import that first row. Then match the student ID with the label that is on your file. As you can see, I can go through all of them to make sure that the ID, first name, last name, and grade match up with the columns on my file. If you are not importing email or groups, you can leave that column blank. Just choose a unique column for each. Next, you can upload pictures for your students. As you can see, I already have pictures uploaded for my students, but the process would be to locate your file with all of your pictures. Typically, this is provided by your school photographer or pulled out of your student information system. The file names should be studentidnumber.jpg, so they are JPEG files. The smaller the file, the better. Larger files take a little longer for you to load. Just add the files here, and once we preload the pictures, make sure you actually import all pictures. So there is a process that goes through afterwards to actually upload them to the system. Here you can see the student name that matches your upload file if you're uploading a student that is already in the database. Next, the mass updates allow you several options to make changes to all of your students at one point in time. Let's say, for example, at the beginning of the year, you want to reset all student types back to student. You can choose all student types, change them to student type, and then run the process, and we'll reset all of those student types. You can also get lists of students to do mass changes. So for example, if you get a list of all kids that have a fine from the library, you just need a file with their student ID number, and we will match those students and update their records from there. That now covers the options for setting up ticketing. The next video will cover how to create an event, sell tickets, check students in, and use the mobile app.